G'day guys, I decided to make this video to showcase a little film photography project that I had at the start of the year. I had 10 days off from work during the holidays. Let's just ignore the fact that was 2 months ago. I decided to spend the time just taking like a bunch of photos. I only got into photography like 4 or 5 months ago. And I think one of the problems that I've been having is that because I shoot very casually, it means that I can't really apply the lessons that I was seeing in the many awful photos that I've been taking. So the point of the holiday was to be like an intense workout exercise in photography. I originally set out with the optimistic goal of shooting 10 rolls in 10 days, which I didn't do, as you can probably tell from the title of the video. I used my Canon EOS 1000, my Yashica D for shooting 120, and finally my newest camera, a Cosina CT1G, which I spent $15 on. Thankfully for me though, my mum owns a couple lenses that fit for it, so I was able to steal them in the dead of the night just to keep costs low. And here's a list of all the film that I shot. I didn't really care about photography until I switched to film. I really don't see the point of photography if it's not debilitatingly expensive. For a good chunk of them, this was actually the first time that I ever shot them, which was just also like another way to keep the holiday feeling exciting. Day 1, and this was Christmas Eve as well. This was the first official day of the holiday. The previous day, my boss said to me that it would be totally fine if I left work slightly early, and in celebration of the holidays. It would be totally fine. Barely an inconvenience if I left just a smidge early. After all, just because we're supposed to leave at 5 p.m, it doesn't matter if we leave at, say, 4:30, even 4. So I bunked off at 2:30, and I say all this just to convey that by this point I was in a very deep state of relaxation. The weather was really good. I thought it'd be a really fun thing to do to visit the beach and just to take some nice photos during golden hour. I visited the beachside town of Sandringham, which was very nice. So to kick off the holidays, I started with a roll of Ektachrome 100 in my Canon. This is the first time I've ever shot slide positive film. Quite frankly, I probably could have done better. I also decided to shoot a roll of expired Cinestill 800T in my Cosina. Because the Cinestill was expired, it was, very cheap and expendable, which was a good thing because I didn't actually know if the camera was in working condition at this point. Like I said, I only bought it for $15. I shot the Cinestill at 500 ISO, which is the speed of the actual film that Cinestill buys from Kodak. Cinestill is known for having images that are very blue. After all, it is a tungsten balanced film, so it has a cold or white balance. Having said all that, I'm actually convinced that the main reason people get such blue results is actually because it's underexposed by 2 1/3 stops when they shoot it at 800. Having said all that, I sort of underestimated just a little bit how expired the film was. I shot 1 or 2 photos at 800 and the results were just dreadful. The film was just a lot more expired than I thought. Like I promise the photos in this video get better. Just please keep watching, please. I was so convinced that this photo was going to be a bang. I wasn't even bothered by the fact that a bird literally shit on me while I was taking it. I even shot it in 2 different orientations just to be sure. But from what I can tell, it looks a little underexposed. I think that this is because my camera's exposure meter takes an aggregate of the entire image, and because there's so much sky in the photo, it means that the exposure is thrown off. It wouldn't have been a problem if I was shooting something like Portrait 400, but when it comes to slide film, it's definitely something I should keep in mind, I think. Something that I kind of like about this photo are the people in the background. First of all, it gives off this, sense of proportion. But what I also really like is just this guy here that's wearing a Christmas hat. If you live in the Northern Hemisphere, maybe that's like a bit of a juxtaposition. But speaking as an Australian, I think it does a good job demonstrating how I see Christmas, which is to say that it's always really fucking hot. Look, I'll be honest, by the end of this particular walk, a lot of the photos I was taking were just a bit shit. They're very boring compositions, as you can see. Like, there's no focal point in any of these. And I think the problem that I was having was that I was just enjoying the experience of being at the beach during my holidays, that I wasn't actually, thinking critically about what I was photographing. But admittedly, that isn't like the worst problem that a person can have, is it? So I had a very enjoyable couple hours in Sandringham. I don't think I've ever actually been there before, but it's just a really nice beachy town and it's very cozy. So I definitely rate it. Day 2, and it was also Christmas Day. I didn't shoot much film today because it was Christmas Day, obviously. I did, however, finish the Cinestol with some night photography, and we're just going to speed through these because they're really not very good. We had Christmas dinner at my mum's place, which meant I had the opportunity to steal even more of her lenses. It felt really good to be with family during the holidays. It was the sort of charming, welcoming atmosphere that can only come when your sister and dad decide to argue about Jordan Peterson at the dinner table for 35 minutes. But I did get this new camera, which is quite nice. So I sort of slept in on Boxing Day. When I woke up, I actually realized that I just didn't have any photo walks planned on the day. If you recall from the start of this video, I originally planned to shoot 10 rolls in 10 days, and I'm sure you can imagine why I stuffed up. There really wasn't that much planning involved. So in an act of complete spontaneity, I decided to go down to the Port Melbourne coastline. I sort of had this crazy idea that I would find a cruise ship and take some really nice photos of it. But there just weren't any. Because I had finished the Ektachrome, at this point I replaced it with Cinecell 400D, and I also shot this one at its nominal speed, so 250. I only actually shot a single photo on the day with it though, and I mean, this is definitely a photograph. No one can say otherwise. This is definitely a photograph. I also brought along my Yashica D with some Tri-X 400 in it to shoot 6x6. I also only shot one photo with it. That's sort of what happens when you do things spontaneously. It's almost like nothing actually goes to plan. Like, I'm really not sure if I like this photo. I think it's well composed, but it's just missing any purpose. But then again, I lack purpose, and I seem to do okay. As a holiday present, my dad booked us all in for a stay at the Crown Casino in South Bank. I was able to reach a level of relaxation that's only possible when you're not the one paying for it. It was really just such a boiling day. Like, I think it was 37 or something. I loaded in some Portra 400 in my casino. I'm not actually that big of a fan of Portra 400 if I'm being honest. It's just a little too clinical for my taste. May as well just shoot digital. Some of the photos though, having said that, came up quite decently. As you can see, they also gave me a complimentary bottle of champagne, which was very nice. You might have noticed there are actually a few marks in the Yashica photos. My lab actually wrote me a letter to go along with the film. Firstly, just to say how disappointed they are with me. Not just as a photographer, but they're also disappointed with me as a person. They also said that the backing paper got stuck to the film, and that's why you see the word Kodak watermarked on it. They haven't actually reached that level of greed yet. It's not actually supposed to look like that. In their letter, which really hurt my feelings, they gave two explanations. The first is that it was because it was expired, but I sort of doubt this because it was only expired by 3 years, which isn't much for black and white. And then the second explanation is that because of excess moisture, and I gotta be honest, I'm sort of leaning towards that one. After I took a shower, I decided to blow dry my hair, which was the first time I've done this in a decade. And let me tell you, my hair was looking fantastic. So doing what every 22-year-old would do, I decided to get my half-century-year-old camera and take a selfie with it. Hashtag feeling cute. But it was a particularly moist bathroom, and my camera was in there for about 30 minutes. And the worst thing, the absolute worst thing, is that this cute mirror selfie that I took was ruined because that particular photo was also a double exposure. It was a complete write-off. The worst thing about double exposures is that it's always the best photos that end up being ruined. So that's great. But say what you will, my hair looks incredible. Day 5. It was originally my goal to go to the pool early to take some photos during golden hour, but it was obnoxiously overcast. It was a very cold day. I mostly shot Cinecell 400D today. I was actually really happy with how this roll turned out. It's always nice when the film that's the most expensive gets the best results. I absolutely love this photo. I'm a big fan of the color juxtaposition between the yellow buoys. I don't know how to pronounce that word. I'm sorry. Buoys. And the blue water. You can see there's just so much texture in it. It's definitely my favorite photo from the whole trip. So if you don't like this photo, honestly, just stop watching this video. Do something better with your time. I have mixed feelings when it comes to this photo. On the one hand, the lighting is obviously crazy good, but I don't really like the composition. So you see with this particular one, there's a lot of empty space in the foreground of the image, and there's probably a bit too much bridge on each side, which I don't really like. I don't know, I think I just could have done better with it. This day was also very overcast, and I'm pretty sure it actually rained a bit. The weather in Melbourne is really great. Even though the lighting wasn't very good, I decided to end up taking those photos in the pool. Thankfully, one of those priceless lenses that I stole from my own mother opens up to f2.2, which is really helpful in such a dark place. I mainly shot macro stuff with it. Obviously, you can technically shoot landscapes at f2.2, but obviously don't. We're up to day 7 already. Today was the final day at Crown. In retrospect, it felt a lot longer than it actually was. It was very good to just take time away from life. After brekkie, I decided to shoot a roll of Ilford Delta 3200 in my Yashica. Try saying that 10 times fast. We left the hotel around 11 or 12. I didn't have much to do in the afternoon. I actually went on a date with a chick from Tinder, where I realized finally that I'm more sexually attracted to cameras than I'll ever be to a woman. I decided afterwards to take a trip to a place called Burnley Gardens. I was actually really looking forward to it. I thought it was a really promising location, and the weather finally had improved after just 2 days of overcast. I remember hopping on the train with so much optimism and excitement until I realized that I'd forgotten to actually bring the cameras with me. I don't know if you know that much about photography, but the cameras are actually quite important. I only noticed this once I reached the city, and I was in just such a defeated mood that I ended up walking sadly back to my house 45 minutes away. It was New Year's Eve. Today was just so unbelievably hot. I think it was 35 degrees. I was outside for maybe 5 or 6 hours, which definitely wasn't the smartest idea of mine. But it was also a very busy day in terms of photography. I went to a place called the Rip-on-Lee Estate, which is one of those big mansions that you can pay $15 to visit, if that's something you ever want to do. It was just such a hot day, and the really annoying thing is that the property closes at 5 p.m, so I had no choice but to stand in the harsh midday sun to shoot these. Obviously I say no choice. Obviously I could have chosen a better hobby, like chess or fencing or something, I don't know. When I finished the Cinestill 400D, I replaced it with a roll of Fuji Industrial 100, and I also brought along spare Portra 400 in both 35mm and 120. So you can see in the background there are these very Art Deco sort of pillars, and they were casting very strong shadows. I knew there would be a really good photo opportunity, but I don't think I ever actually did it justice. When I got my hands on Industrial 100, the very first thing I was looking forward to was just how it rendered the color green. I'm sure we've all heard of those mythical Fuji greens, but what really stood out to me was the way it handled reds and pinks. So this is one of the few photos of mine that I actually sort of like. I mean, the composition is obviously, but I'm just so in love with how vibrant the pink flowers come across. They're not even color graded. I think that's actually what I find so impressive about this photo too. I was just so knackered from the heat. I made one last attempt to visit the Burnley Gardens. This time I actually did bring my cameras, that's quite good. But the problem this time is that during this entire trip my phone was broken. So once I got off at Burnley Station, it occurred to me that I didn't actually know where to go. I ended up wandering around for 20 minutes, but I just said stuff it. The worst part of it is that I was literally a 2-minute walk away from the park. It's honestly a miracle I've made it this far in my life. It was New Year's Day today, and it was also the final day of my little film photography challenge. Despite how knackered I was feeling the previous day, I ended the night in quite a good mood. And I think this was partly the optimism of a new year, and also because I finally put that complimentary bottle of champagne to good use. For my final photo walk, I decided to go to a town at the edge of Melbourne called Tacoma. It definitely wasn't my original plan to visit the Dandenong Ranges, and I definitely didn't get lost again without my phone. Nope, not at all. I really don't have much to say about this photo, but just I love the way that this stock renders red, so I'm going to be doing this a lot more often, I think. I really have no idea what I was thinking when I took this photo. Just keep in mind that what you've been seeing have been the good photos that actually made the cut. I had one more day off before work started, but I decided just to use it to get some rest. This 9 days were definitely a really great time just to dedicate on photography, and there's no doubt that the quality of my photo taking has improved since doing it, but by the end of it, I think I just run out of energy. But I'm very happy about how some of these photos turned out. This is the first photography video I ever made. If you like it, please subscribe and let me know how you found it. Thank you.